Welcome to Learn English Fast.
Speak English with confidence.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the English Learning Podcast. I'm your host, Henry, and today we have a very important topic to talk about. The topic is how to be a good English student. Now, you might ask, why do I need to learn how to be a good student? I'm already studying English. Well, the truth is, many people study English, but not everyone learns it in the best way. Some learners waste time, some lose motivation, and some don't know what habits make learning easier. Being a good English student does not mean you are perfect. It doesn't mean you never make mistakes. A good English student is someone who learns step by step, stays motivated, and uses smart methods to improve every day. In this episode, I will share with you the mindset, habits, and strategies that make someone a successful English learner. We'll talk about things like setting goals, practicing speaking, learning vocabulary, using grammar, staying motivated, and building a daily routine. So if you really want to improve your English, stay with me until the end of this episode. By the time you finish listening, you will know exactly what you need to do to become a good English student. All right, let's get started. Before we talk about study habits and practice, let's start with something very important: your mindset. Mindset means the way you think about learning. A good mindset will make learning English easier and more enjoyable. First, a good English student has a positive attitude. Learning a new language is not always easy. Sometimes it feels slow, and sometimes you make mistakes. But if you stay positive, you will keep moving forward. Instead of saying, "English is too hard," say, "English is a challenge, but I can learn step by step." Second, a good student has patience. Many learners want to speak fluently in just 1 or 2 months. But real learning takes time. Think about how babies learn their first language. It takes them years to speak well. For you, learning English may be faster, but it still needs time and practice. So, be patient with yourself. Third, a good English student is not afraid of mistakes. Mistakes are not bad. They are part of learning. Every mistake is a chance to learn something new. If you say something wrong and someone corrects you, that's not failure. That's progress. The more mistakes you make, the more you will improve. And finally, a good student is consistent. Consistency means you practice a little every day, not just once a week. Even 15 minutes every day is better than 2 hours only once a week. A consistent learner will always improve faster. So, to summarize, stay positive. Be patient. Don't fear mistakes. Be consistent. With this mindset, you are already on the path to becoming a good English student. Now that we talked about the right mindset, the next step is to set clear goals. A good English student always knows why they are learning and what they want to achieve. Let's start with short-term goals. These are small goals for today, this week, or this month. For example, your short-term goal could be: learn 10 new words this week. Watch 1 English video every day. Speak for 5 minutes in English with a friend. These small goals are easy to reach, and they give you confidence. Every time you complete a small goal, you feel success, and that success gives you energy to continue. Next, you need long-term goals. These are bigger goals for the future, maybe after 6 months or 1 year. For example, be able to have a 10-minute conversation in English. Watch a movie in English without subtitles. Use English for your job or studies. When you know your long-term goals, you have a clear direction. It's like having a map. Without goals, you might lose motivation because you don't know where you're going. But with goals, every practice feels meaningful. One more important thing, make your goals realistic. Don't say, I want to be fluent in 1 month. That is not realistic, and it will only make you frustrated. Instead, say, I want to improve step by step. A good English student knows that small progress every day leads to big success later. So remember, have short-term goals for today and this week. Have long-term goals for the future. Make your goals realistic and clear. When you set clear goals, you always know what to do, and you stay motivated. Now let's talk about good study habits. A good English student does not only study hard, but studies in a smart and effective way. The first habit is daily practice. English is like exercise for your brain. If you practice every day, even for a short time, you will improve faster. Just 15 to 30 minutes a day is enough. But if you only study once a week, it's easy to forget what you learned. So make English a part of your daily life. The second habit is having a routine. A routine means you study at the same time every day. For example, you can listen to an English podcast every morning or read an English article before bed. When you follow a routine, learning becomes natural. You don't need to force yourself. It becomes a habit, just like brushing your teeth. The third habit is to study in small chunks, not in long, boring sessions. Don't try to study English for 5 hours in one day. You will get tired and lose focus. Instead, study in short sessions, maybe 20 to 30 minutes. Take a break, then come back again later. Short and regular sessions are more powerful than long and rare sessions. The fourth habit is to mix different skills. A good English student does not only read, or only listen, or only memorize grammar. They practice all skills: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. For example, you can listen to a podcast, then write a short summary, then speak about it to yourself or a friend. This way, you connect all the skills together. The last habit is to review what you learned. Many students only learn new things, but they forget to review. If you don't review, you forget quickly. A good student goes back to old vocabulary, old grammar, or old lessons and practices them again. Review makes your knowledge stronger. So remember these study habits. Practice daily. Follow a routine. Study in small chunks. Mix all skills. Review regularly. If you build these habits, your English will improve steadily and surely. Another important part of being a good English student is active listening and reading. These two skills help you understand English better, and they also help you learn new vocabulary and grammar naturally. Let's start with listening. A good English student listens to English every day. You don't need to understand 100%. Even if you understand only 50%, it still helps your brain get used to the sound of English. You can listen to podcasts, songs, audiobooks, or even news in English. The key is to listen actively, not passively. That means you don't just play English in the background. You try to focus, repeat words, and notice how sentences are built. Now, let's talk about reading. Reading is one of the best ways to learn new words and grammar in context. Start with something simple, like children's books, short stories, or easy news articles. Don't worry if you don't know every word. Try to guess the meaning from the context. And remember, reading a little every day is better than reading a lot once in a while. Listening and reading also support each other. For example, if you listen to an audiobook, you can also read the text at the same time. This way, you hear the pronunciation and see the spelling together. It's a very powerful method. So, as a good English student, make listening and reading part of your daily routine. Even 10 minutes of listening and 10 minutes of reading every day can make a big difference over time. Now, let's talk about speaking practice. Many learners can read and understand English, but when it comes to speaking, they feel shy or afraid. A good English student knows that speaking is just like any other skill. The more you practice, the better you become. The first step is to practice speaking every day, even if you are alone. You don't always need a partner. You can talk to yourself in English, describe your day, or speak your thoughts out loud. For example, you can say, "I am cooking rice now. I will eat lunch soon." Simple sentences like these help your brain get used to thinking in English. Another powerful method is shadowing. Shadowing means you listen to a short piece of English, like a podcast or a video, and then repeat what you hear immediately, almost like an echo. This helps you improve your pronunciation, rhythm, and confidence. At first, it might feel difficult, but with practice, it becomes easier. The third tip is to use English in real conversations. If you have friends, classmates, or online partners who speak English, talk with them. Don't worry about mistakes. Just focus on communicating. The more you speak, the more natural it becomes. Also, remember that confidence is more important than perfection. Many learners wait until they are perfect before speaking, but that time never comes. You will only become fluent if you start speaking now, with the English you already know. Even if your sentences are simple, that's okay. Clear communication is the goal. So, to sum up speaking practice, speak every day, even alone. Try shadowing to improve pronunciation. Use English in real conversations. Focus on confidence, not perfection. The more you speak, the faster your English will grow. A good English student knows that speaking is not something you wait to do in the future. It's something you start doing today. Now let's talk about vocabulary, because without words, we cannot communicate. But here's the problem. Many students try to memorize long lists of words, and then they forget them quickly. A good English student learns vocabulary in a smarter way. The first tip is to learn words in context. That means don't just study single words. Study them inside sentences or situations. For example, instead of only learning the word delicious, learn it like this. This cake is delicious. When you see a word in context, you understand how to use it in real life. The second tip is to use new words in your own sentences. If you learn 5 new words today, try to write or say a sentence with each word. This helps you remember the word better and makes it part of your active vocabulary, not just passive memory. The third tip is to review regularly. Our brains forget quickly if we don't review. So, go back to old words, read them again, and practice them often. Even 5 minutes of review each day can help keep words fresh in your memory. And finally, don't try to learn too many words at once. It's better to learn a few words deeply and use them than to memorize 50 words and forget them the next day. So remember, learn words in context. Use them in your own sentences. Review regularly. Focus on quality, not quantity. If you follow these steps, your vocabulary will grow naturally and stay strong. Now, let's talk about grammar. Many English learners feel nervous when they hear this word. They think grammar is boring, difficult, or too complicated. But being a good English student means learning grammar in a smart and simple way. The first rule is, don't try to memorize too much at once. English has many grammar rules, but you don't need to learn all of them today. Start with the basics, like present tense, past tense, and future tense. Once you are comfortable with the basics, move step by step to more advanced grammar. The second rule is, focus on communication, not perfection. For example, if you say, "Yesterday I go to school," instead of "Yesterday I went to school," people will still understand you. Of course, you should try to improve, but don't let small mistakes stop you from speaking. The third rule is, learn grammar through examples. Instead of just reading rules, look at sentences. For example, if you want to learn the present continuous tense, look at a real sentence. I am reading a book. Then, try to make your own sentences using the same pattern. And finally, practice grammar in real situations. When you speak or write, try to use the grammar you are learning. That way, grammar becomes part of your natural language, not just something you study in a book. So, to summarize, learn grammar step by step. Focus on communication first. Study examples, not just rules. Practice grammar in real life. With this smart approach, grammar will no longer feel scary. It will become your friend, not your enemy. Now, let's talk about something many learners try to avoid: mistakes. But here's the truth. Mistakes are not your enemy. In fact, mistakes are one of your best teachers. A good English student is not afraid of making mistakes. When you speak or write, it's normal to use the wrong word or the wrong grammar. But every mistake shows you what you still need to improve. If you never make mistakes, it means you are not learning anything new. The second step is to learn from feedback. Feedback means when someone corrects you, maybe a teacher, a friend, or even a language app. Instead of feeling embarrassed, say thank you and try to use the correction next time. That's how you grow. And remember, nobody speaks perfect English all the time, not even native speakers. The important thing is progress, not perfection. So, the lesson is simple. Make mistakes. Accept feedback. Keep improving step by step. If you do this, mistakes will no longer feel scary. They will become your guide to success. Now, let's talk about motivation and consistency. Even if you have the right mindset, good habits, and goals, learning English takes time. That's why staying motivated and consistent is very important. First, find your reason for learning English. Why do you want to improve? Maybe it's for your job, travel, study, or making new friends. When you remember your reason, it gives you energy to keep going, even on difficult days. Second, enjoy the process. Learning English doesn't have to be boring. Listen to music, watch movies, read stories, or play English games. When learning is fun, it's easier to do it every day. Third, take small steps every day. Even 10 or 15 minutes of practice daily is better than hours once a week. Consistency is the secret to improvement. Over time, these small steps become big results. Finally, reward yourself for progress. Celebrate when you finish a lesson. Learn new words or speak confidently. Small rewards keep you motivated and make learning enjoyable. So, remember, know your reason. Enjoy learning. Practice small steps every day. Reward yourself for progress. Motivation and consistency are like fuel. With them, your journey to becoming a good English student will be much easier and more enjoyable. Now that we have talked about mindset, goals, habits, and motivation, let's look at a daily routine. A routine helps you organize your practice and make learning English a natural part of your day. Here is an example of a simple daily routine for a good English student. Morning, 10 to 15 minutes. Listen to an English podcast, news, or a song while having breakfast or getting ready. Afternoon, 15 to 20 minutes. Read a short story, an article, or some English notes. Try to understand the meaning and new words. Evening, 10 to 15 minutes. Speak in English. Talk to yourself. Practice shadowing, or have a conversation with a friend. Night, 5 to 10 minutes. Review vocabulary and grammar learned today. Write a few sentences using new words or grammar rules. You can adjust the time depending on your schedule, but the key is consistency. Even small daily actions, if done every day, will make a big difference over time. So remember, a good English student doesn't only study hard, they study smart every day. A daily routine keeps learning organized, focused, and effective. Before we end today's episode, here are a few final tips to help you become a good English student. Remember, small steps every day are better than big steps once in a while. Don't be afraid of making mistakes. They are part of learning. Keep a positive mindset and stay consistent. Enjoy learning English and celebrate your progress, no matter how small. If you follow these tips, practice regularly, and stay motivated, you will see real improvement in your English. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the English Learning Podcast. I hope you found it helpful and inspiring. I'm Henry, and I'll see you in the next episode. Keep learning, keep speaking, and keep growing in English.